Welcome to Packmates, a podcast about Magic the Gathering where we take a deep dive into the current limited formats. We're a group of friendly card sharks that will draft and go into FNM. And I forgot the intro, but, but it's me and Andrew this week. And I'm Robi, the resident Dirtle expert.
And I'm Andrew, the resident not going to FNM expert again.
And we're the Packmates.
You didn't even give me a
chance. Do you like my breath control, Andrew?
It was good.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 breath control. You could have held that out a little bit longer.
I could be a rapper.
Oh, man. Is there a good magic rapper out there? Who's rapping about MTG lore? I
see no-name nonsense SoundCloud rappers every once in a while.
Yeah.
They'll have a song called The Great Creator, and they'll have a cover art of Karn.
Yeah.
It has 200 views. And it's blown out beyond any actual unlistable nonsense, and I like that. But
I need a good Jace Beller.
I know the SBMTG guy has done rap deck text, which shout out to that. That's tight.
What do we get? Oh, really?
It's
nice.
It's cringe, right? It's cringe because it's magic rap, but it's pretty good for what it is.
When are we gonna get just a secret layer of Post Malone and all these guys just being planeswalkers? They're just gonna make them special planeswalkers,
that. Post Malone needs to drop magic songs. I've always said though, you could take any magic card name and make a metal band from the name of it, Ginger Brew.
That's pretty good. That's pretty fire.
Very miscreant.
Tough cookie.
Tough cookie, yeah. Fatal Push.
Ooh, Fatal Push, pretty good.
Up the Beanstalk. Literally any card title ever is a good metal band name. I don't know why people don't do that. It's so smart. Yeah.
Grizzly Bear.
Fumigate. Yeah, but
oh man,
yeah. So I was the only one at FNM this week.
You were the sole packmate. How'd you
sole
do?
Packmate.
Did you represent and win take the tournament?
I did technically represent the Packmates pretty well.
Good.
I ended up going 2-1-0. So technically 0 losses.
Nice. Although you do count ties as losses, though, right?
Nah, it was a good time. It was a good time. It ended with a full swing.
Wow.
From me.
Whoa, damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
And I was 4 points of damage short. There was nothing I could do.
Dang.
But
did you need another turn or was it just a full
I don't
swing?
know
Just
if my
swing?
deck actually had enough gas left in it to actually ever close it out.
Mm.
But yeah. So I ended up going 2-1-0.
Okay.
And it's super funny because of tie breaks.
Mm-hmm.
First place. First place. Robbed them. No shame. Just straight rob.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I basically drafted the deck that I drafted the last time I did a deck tech.
Oh, really?
It was funny because whenever I was sleeving up my cards,
mm-hmm.
I was like, bro, do I even have to unsleeve my
Was there that much overlap?
I was like, there was that much overlap. I was like, I'm really going to unsleeve this Hamlet Glutton to put a Hamlet Glutton in it. Unsleeve this Up the Beanstalk to put another Up the Beanstalk.
I was going to say, I definitely think your decks always start with those. It's like a start. It's like the Robi starter kit for
genuinely, yeah.
For this format, it's one Up the Beanstalk, one Hamlet Glutton.
That's what you need. That's what you need. That's like a deck by itself, genuinely. And then all the other pieces just fall into place, genuinely. Once you could get that, it doesn't really matter what else you put in your deck. It's kind of fine.
I wonder what the over-under is on you having, how many Up the Beanstalks you have in your collection now. I'm going to say it's over 6.
Probably. I'm going to be a millionaire by the end of this format. Especially if I keep winning, too.
What were your colors this week?
I was green, black.
Ooh, nice.
I kind of was waffling a little bit. I definitely took some red cards.
What was your first pick of the draft?
The giant, I forget what it's called. The 5-mana giant, what's it called? Gingerbread Hunter.
Oh, okay.
Because it's kind of like flexible a little bit. Like I could be like I could be either in the Up the Beanstalk deck.
Yeah.
I could also just be in like any random black deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of just fun. And splashing is pretty available.
Yeah.
So like I figured like this is a pretty sick first pack. And like it wasn't even close. Like my first pack was actual garbage. Like there wasn't another playable card.
Really?
Yeah, actually,
Ouch.
yeah. And then I took that, and then I ended up getting passed Up the Beanstalk and was like,
Oh, man. Nobody
what's
puts
this?
respect on Up the Beanstalk, apparently.
Yeah. So I was red. I was green black, but I was also splashing red for Hearth Elemental for no reason, which is kind of ridiculous.
So Hearth Elemental has a really cool adventure, right?
Yeah, it's a 6-mana elemental that for 2 mana you can discard your hand, then draw 2 cards,
Yes.
which is you're always discarding nothing.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah, Ryan got me with that last week. I was like, you can
Always-
discard nothing? He's like, yeah.
Yes. Yes, you
Brutal.
can. It just says discard your hand, it's not like an extra ability
Yeah.
to do it. And then it costs X less to cast, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard that are instants, sorceries, or have an adventure.
Jeez.
So it's also a 1 mana 4/5.
Oh my god.
You know, so it's pretty good. It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
it seems imminently splashable with just the 1 red, right? With
Yeah.
just the 1 pip. It's pretty easy to
Yeah,
splash.
it's super easy for sure. And I had 0 mountains, but I had 2 of the fawns and a scarecrow. guy.
Okay, so you had like really 3 sources. Did you have any treasure or anything like that?
No,
Okay.
actually no. I thought about like I had a grabby giant on the sideboard. But I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
am I really gonna splashing? Nah, it's not
No,
even worth
splash.
it.
Yeah, splash to splash. That doesn't, it doesn't really make sense.
I probably would have if grabby giant cost 5 mana.
Mm.
It was the exact same card. Like unironically, like in this deck, like it would have been better. Like I would have probably just splashed it. Because that's how you build like the Up the Beanstalk decks. You just need 5-drops, right?
Yeah.
Just whatever 5-drops you can get. It doesn't matter what color. They're all basically kind of the same, except the white one.
So what kind of stuff got you to your 5-drops?
I had 2 rat outs.
I'm sure you
which
just
are,
didn't
like,
have mono 5-drops in this deck, right?
I tried to. I tried to. Gingerbread Hunter definitely helps like stabilize.
Uh-huh.
I had 2 rat outs, a Candy Grapple, a Curse of the Werefox, a Sweet Tooth Witch, and Utopia Sprawl. Like
Okay, so you
Just kinda
actually had
like-
some ramp, and then I saw you had the adventure
Bramble?
Is it Bramble? The worm?
Yeah, Bramble Familiar?
Yeah, Bramble familiar.
It's not a worm. It's actually a raccoon.
A raccoon.
And Beanstalk Worm. Beanstalk Worm is like you're
Ah.
talking about. Yeah, the play an extra land.
yes.
I was running 18 lands.
Really?
Yeah, yep.
Wow.
I've been running 18 lands. In this
Do you
set.
feel like I've heard that around actually that it's an 18 land could be if you're in that
If you're in that deck
Yeah,
where you
which-
need to get to 5
yeah.
every turn, every game, you
Yeah.
like need to curve to 5.
I've definitely heard on the street here from other podcasts where basically they say if you don't hit your 4th land drop in certain decks, it's
Yeah.
like lights out.
Yeah, genuinely, this is one of those
Yeah,
decks. for
and it's
sure.
one of those formats they said is kind of punishing when you don't hit your land drops.
Oh yeah, like my one loss was kind of just not hitting lands on time. Yeah.
Really? Mhm. And
Yeah, this
18
is a
lands.
deck that like you want a 5 land opener. Unironically, like
Wow.
it feel that's like a 1 drop into 2 drop into 5 lands is a sick opening hand. Like genuinely, in this deck, like actually a sick opening hand.
I feel like
you're
people
like-
have so much value like going on with your, you have all these split cards and things, or have
Yeah.
the adventure cards. Where,
Yeah, another very key part of this is the Hollow Scavenger, which people still sleep on for some reason. I don't understand why. I beat people with it every week.
You beat me last week with it. Like,
You
it was,
think they would learn? Like
Yeah.
that's like a must-kill threat on
I
the
didn't
battlefield.
respect it last week, and then as soon as we were talking in our deck text, or a couple weeks ago actually, we were talking in our deck text, and I realized just how good that card is for curving purposes.
Yeah,
Like-
just for that too. Like having a 1-drop in
Yeah.
your do nothing Dirtle deck is sick. Like
Yeah.
even if it kind of is not that consequential, like
Yeah.
that food token's gonna end up being like an asset later on.
Is
For
it
sure,
mostly
like-
just like bargain fodder for the most part?
No, not always. Like a lot of times you'll just save the food token for the hollow scavenger itself. Like, right, just to have like the threat of activation.
Yeah.
It does a lot of things. Like it can either like get you to the late game by being able to sack it to gain life, or like I also had a Greta, so like I could turn it into 1/1 counters.
Oh man, yeah.
Or sometimes it also is bargain fodder too, for sure. Like with like Candy Grapple.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had that. I had Spiteful Hexmage, which is like a disgusting bomb that no one realizes. like its curse token is like 100% actually just upside. Like it's actually just better than if it didn't do that.
Really?
I think it's so easy to make it so that way the curse token is like just straight upside.
Yeah.
Like using it for bargain fodder, like putting it on literally a bunch of like random creatures, like putting that on like my blue card that I put in here.
Oh.
The Ingenious Mage or whatever. What's it called?
Oh yeah, it's the X. Was it X in blue? One blue?
Yep, my blue splash.
Yes, it had a mountain of text on it, but it does good stuff.
It's X in a blue, and it has Skulk, which is like the most irrelevant text of all time. Because it's always a 9/9. And whenever it enters the it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters, which like I'm playing a ramp deck, so like it's a 9/9. It's an 8/9, right? And the beginning of your upkeep, if it has one or more counters on it, you may remove a +1/+1 counter from it. If you do, draw a card. So it's like an extra card every turn.
Nice.
It's like the backup of the beanstalk. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, green, black, basically the same deck I've been playing.
Nice. It's been putting up results every time though.
Yeah, I wasn't really forcing it that hard. I kind of just like stumbled into it. Like it's a pretty easy deck to like get into, I think.
I think there's a lot of cards that people undervalue. Like you were saying, that 3/4 or the 3/2 wolf that makes a food,
which is like a super key piece of that deck. For sure.
I mean, all it does is get you to the late game.
Yep.
Which is just so strong.
Hamlet Glutton.
Yeah.
Yeah, people just don't. People haven't really recognized Hamlet Glutton.
I don't think they put enough respect on him sometimes.
I know. It's like a good finisher, right?
Yeah, and it comes down on 5 like relatively like all the time.
It's super easy to get it down on 5.
Yeah.
Like it's like trivial most of the time. Like just sacrifice my curse token on my Hex Mage. So now I have a 3/2 and a 6/6 and I gain 3 life. Yeah, like it's super easy. Super easy. And like any random food token, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's been like probably my favorite archetype in this format.
Yeah, you guys,
is the Up the Beanstalk deck.
You and Ryan have been killing it this format. I'm still playing catch up ball.
You just gotta find your calling.
I need it.
You just need to find your calling.
I had a good too many sets in a row there. I had it really good.
You could. You need to find a deck,
Brothers War.
and you just need to like only play that deck and get unbelievably good at that deck.
Yeah,
like blue white. Like it doesn't matter which deck it is. It's just like you just gotta find the right one. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, that brings us up to a good topic of something about forcing a deck.
Yeah, so one of our topics that we thought we'd talk about this week. One of my favorite subjects, because it's something that I do constantly. I am known for doing this. Like, this is kind of like my wheelhouse of just hardcore knowing what you're going to draft before you open your first pack. Lots of people will tell you this is super bad. Like,
I'm definitely in that camp, but I'll definitely do it.
We're only talking about this because Ryan is not here to
man, yeah.
So we thought we'd take advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
And I would go ahead and tell you why you should be forcing more. So let's get into it. What is forcing, Andrew? What do you consider forcing?
I consider forcing as having this predetermined idea of, before you go into the draft, before you open a pack, of like, I am doing this no matter what happens. There's nothing that's going to sway me, and I'm going to make this happen.
I don't I don't fully agree with that. I think that's like the hard forcing, which is probably like the forcing I do the most. But definitely there's a softer form of forcing, which is like I opened a card, my first pick, and I'm just going to hardcore commit at pack one, pick one.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's like the more like insidious version of forcing.
I've definitely seen a lot of people do that, though. They open up a really good multicolored card, and they're like, this is it. That's the draft. Done.
Yeah,
and you don't see it. And it's funny because like when you get into that mindset too, you miss other cards that are like really good because you're just like so hyper focused on the two colors that you're looking for, and you're just like, what's going to make this better?
Yeah, like definitely. My first pick this week was like the Gingerbread Hunter.
Yeah.
And that was like kind of like from that point forward, I was kind of forcing, right?
Yeah.
Like a little bit like I was definitely keeping an eye out for more like green cards for sure.
Because no matter what, that card's going into a green or black deck, right?
Yes. And like it made me prioritize fixing a little higher, even though I like passed all the fixing. But
well, you're gonna get it in pack 3, right?
Yeah,
like that's
which
always
I just didn't end up with very much fixing. Yeah. So is forcing bad? Is it bad to force?
I think there's certain situations in certain formats where it's fine to
Give
force.
me an example.
I think Ventures from the Forgotten Realm, when Rakdos,
AFR
was just so good for Rakdos that you just almost had to do it. And I feel even in the Lord of the Rings set too, it was almost right to force some sort of black or red into your deck.
It's kind of been like a little bit of my strong suit, especially in like AFR. Whenever there's like everybody knows that there's a clear best deck.
Yeah.
Being the one who forces harder than everyone else and being able to win just from like knowing how to force. Because there's definitely like an art to it for sure.
I think so. Yeah.
Like it's not just like you're just like, all right, I'm going to play blue, white, and I'm going to take every blue card and every white card. Like you can do it like that, but like there's definitely more to it than that.
A little nuance.
Like yeah. So what's your favorite deck favorite archetype to force?
Oh my gosh.
Because you can almost force an archetype too. Like it's not always just colors too.
Yeah.
Right?
I think if there's an archetype I force more than anything, it's always the spells deck.
The spells,
The spells deck is just, I got a weakness for blue spells already.
Yeah, I think most of us do, except Ryan.
Except Ryan, who secretly plays blue all the time, though.
But he plays the blue cards that we don't like the creatures.
I think I called him out last week for that. I said, Ryan, why do all your aggressive decks always have blue in them? It's like, you always say that people don't value the blue cards, but you're always taking these very aggressive blue cards in your blue aggro
He takes like
decks.
bad blue cards, yeah.
He makes them work, though. I mean, he does a good job of like forcing these blue cards to make them work. But like, it's always the spells deck. I always feel like you could just always make it happen. But you have to hard commit to it though, because you have to be really
definitely.
Into it.
That's like a
threshold.
very, very, very forcible deck. Because like like you said, you need like a threshold.
Yep.
And like the Up the Beanstalk deck is definitely like a deck that like you have to force to a certain extent. Like you have to like realize that you need 5 drops, right?
How many 5 drops do you think you need to make an Up the Beanstalk deck work?
I would say 5.
5
is like the bare minimum.
Okay.
I like to sit around 7 to 8 is like the sweet spot, I think. Like
and 7. A lot of your guys are variable. It's not like you're just jamming a bunch of like 6 drops in your deck. They all have some sort of other ability. They have an adventure, or
those are the better
have some
ones.
alternative
Those are
cost.
the better ones, but like you don't always necessarily need those. Like you can also get away with just having like a screen puff.
Yeah.
Like the random 4 or 5 Death Toucher for 5.
That guy's good.
Yeah, he's fine. Like I've found myself playing. He's like a poor man's Hamlet glutton.
He works his magic very slowly, and he's got to connect. But he always kind of connects, or he just plows through a couple of guys.
Yeah,
on
like
the way.
it's not hard to get like a monster roll token on him and make him impossible to block.
Yeah,
yeah, like he's super good.
Yeah,
but like forcing.
Yeah. What kind of archetypes do you normally force when you kind of do those things?
Mill.
Oh, yeah.
Like mill or just like journaling. Like there's kind of like an archetype that I love that's just like the deck where you just take all the removal.
Oh,
yes. You just like take all the removal and you just have whatever as your win con.
Exactly, yeah.
And you just like, probably my favorite archetype of all time is like the like 0 mill card mill decks. where you just like are playing like 43 cards and win off mill.
Oh man,
like
that's miserable.
yeah, definitely for most people, right?
Oh yeah,
like I love to force decks with like no creatures too. Like
I see you do that all the time. Always some alternative type creature though, or it's like a creature staple to a spell or something like that, and that'd be like your win con. A
random 1/1. Like I definitely won a game last night with nothing but just like the 1 mana fairy.
Yeah.
Like it just was a removal off, and they didn't want to waste their removal on my 1 mana fairy. And it just got in 15 times.
I always like those. I always like those formats that have an enchantment or have an artifact that does something to win the game, like passively, and you can just build around that.
Yes, like
Lightning Rift and what was it? One of the other sets that had cycling, and so you just build a cycling deck and just Lightning Rift them out. You know,
Zenith Flare is the cycling one.
Yeah,
like definitely. I love the build arounds for sure.
Yeah, I think they're kind of fun. And it gives you something like sometimes when a format goes a little bit long and you're into it for a while, you want to start doing some funny stuff. Like the last set in Lord of the Rings, there was like a sneaky legendary deck there where you just played all the legends and a bunch of spells actually the Hall of Great Heroes or something like that. That was allowing you to play like multicolored spells for free. Almost. Yeah, I mean, not free, but it gave you the mana
Hall Legends.
Hall Legends, yeah. And so you're like, okay, I'll get like 3 Hall Legends and all legendaries.
So what advice do we have for people? Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you force a deck? Like, what do you need as a prerequisite to be able to force?
Just one good card in the beginning.
So I don't even agree with that. I think like to get away with like forcing like this, like it's not free to just do. Like you can't just like go into something for the first time and say, I'm going to force this deck and it's going to work out 100% of the time.
No,
but like to optimize, I think if you know the deck and know all the cards that can like belong in the deck, like if you know like the shell, you can kind of like improvise and be able to like, and that's why I've been getting away with these up the beanstalk decks because I know I need like 2 rat outs. And then like, if I can't get the rat outs, I want candy grapples. I want, there are like a set amount of cards in this pool that I would need. And it's just like finding those pieces, like almost like solitaire kind of like you just got to put things in their places. And if you know the like anatomy of what you're trying to build, like you've played it before, or like seen 7-win decks and stuff, it makes it a lot easier to like, because if you're just going in blind, I'm taking every red card, I'm taking every blue card. You won't know which pieces you need more than other. And you're like kind of stuck in the draft kind of.
I think just having the knowledge, you're right, just having that knowledge before you go in and like what the archetype
you almost need to know like the entire set. like almost a little bit.
I think you could just cheat sheet.
Yeah, you can cheat sheet like just the archetype. Right?
Yeah, and then just say, I want this one and just kind of go for it. Look on your 17 lands and see what people are building there.
Yeah, and that's like the opening hand win rate draft stuff that I do too. Like if you like go in and you look at like by deck, because you can search by like the deck colors. And like you just go and you just search by opening hand win rate and just like memorize the top 10 cards or so. And it makes it a lot easier for sure.
I always like looking at examples of like trophy decks and things like that just to kind of see I mean, some people go a little off the rails.
I definitely am less of like looking at trophy decks. I like to just look at the data.
Oh man, I'm a trophy deck kind of guy. I'm just like,
some people are. Ryan likes it too.
Like, what do you sneak in there? Like, because it's always those like 40th card, the 39th card. And that's where like
43rd.
Yeah, the 43rd card. You know, it's always those last cards because you can tell like a Ginger Brood or whatever is just always going to go in the deck. Or this card's always making this archetype. But it's the cards that are on the fringe, that are on the cuts there, where you're just like, that's where you make the bread and butter of the deck.
Man, is that good or not?
Well, it's like how you prioritize the guy who makes the food as a 3/2. You know, it's like on surface, you wouldn't think he's very good, but he's actually like a very integral like 38th card
I think he's even like in the top 20.
Okay.
Top 20.
I'm talking to the wrong person.
he's like one of the only green comments with a positive opening hand win rate.
Really?
Yeah,
My gosh.
Yeah, like where he's good. I think he's very strong, but he doesn't look strong, right? Like,
no, he doesn't. He doesn't look on the surface
like
strong.
if I didn't know that the Hollow Scavenger was good,
yeah,
I probably wouldn't be able to force this archetype as well as I've to like as much as success as I've been able to, right?
Yeah.
Like you kind of just got to know going in what people are going to undervalue too. Like knowing like which cards you're going to be able to wheel and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
sometimes it surprises me sometimes what I can wheel, but
like a Greta.
Like a Greta. Yeah, it happens every so often.
Yeah.
But it's a symptom of just like people don't want to commit to that.
Yeah.
Because it's a hard commit.
Yeah,
it's really
definitely.
like I'm going to do this, and then your draft is kind of locked in. And then it gets harder to splash. It's harder to be in 3 colors. It's easier to splash. But Greta's not like a splashy card because she needs activated. Like she's tying up your mana all the time at that point.
I will say out of like the 3 of us, me, Ryan, and Andrew, I'm definitely the one who will commit first.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Like,
yeah.
I
don't doubt that at all. Yeah,
like,
you go for
pack
it.
one, pick one, and I'll just go in.
Yeah,
like,
Ryan and I are in like we're in like pick 4 or 5. And then sometimes we just won't even commit until pack 2. We'll get like
definitely.
a color or start gathering good color. Like sometimes I'll have like a rainbow going on.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm going to figure it out in 2 and 3.
Yeah, and that's why I get destroyed in Rochester. Like it's different whenever people don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But like once they know that I'm like hard committed to something and like pack one, pick one,
you can't.
They could just destroy you.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship there where you just like subtly start shifting into another archetype without people realizing it because you took a bunch of cards like hella early on, and they're like, oh yeah, he took a bunch of black cards in the beginning. Yeah, he's clearly a black player. Then you realize like later on, midway through the draft or towards later, and they're like, oh, they just have all blue and white cards now.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely it's possible. It's like a thing you can do. You just need to do it responsibly, right?
Now, do you do it like if you're a newer player, do you do that kind of thing? Or do you need to have a little bit of experience under the belt?
I think it is a cheat code to get good.
I think so too.
Is to like learn one deck and be able to force that one deck.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a cheat code, low key. Is like, and like I've noticed it too, because like I've seen like the 17 lands thing that like tells you what you need to do differently.
Yeah.
And Ryan's always tells them like you need to pick color preference.
Yeah.
And like forcing could also be like an extension of that. Is like you have the things that you like and that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And like it seems kind of weird because it's like a card game. How you're more comfortable with different pieces of cardboard, right?
Exactly.
Like,
but I mean, people one trick all the time. That's what they call it, like in League of Legends and stuff like that. But people have like a one deck that they become a specialist at.
It's almost like picking a main.
Yeah,
in, like
exactly.
fighting games.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like if you find your favorite archetype, you can kind of like learn that archetype super good, and like a lot of those skills will transfer over to between sets even.
Yeah.
Like I play a lot of Dirtle control decks.
Yeah.
And I've done that in basically every format I've ever played, right?
Yeah.
Like trying to find what I'm comfortable with, you know? So like it's definitely kind of a cheat code. So like that's kind of my advice to new players is like find a deck, learn the top 10 commons in that deck, and like learn the ins and outs of it. And you can kind of have success that way.
Yeah.
It's really easy whenever there's like quick draft too.
Oh yeah, you can
like,
jam it out.
It's more consistent, I think, than like real life even.
Yeah, I think I hard force in quick draft because I just know, it's, it's so random what they take, and then you can kind of fill the bots out a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And like sometimes like there are times where like I'm playing in person. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, quick draft bots would never give me such a free deck. like sometimes it's the opposite too.
Yeah.
Like
sometimes you just have 3 people in black on the left of you or something like capacity. You're like, oh, good. I didn't have to worry about that color at all. I'm just going to get all the green cards.
Yeah, genuinely.
We're get all the blue cards.
It's still like important to like read the signals and stuff. And like sometimes you'll go into a draft, start forcing and just get absolutely obliterated.
I think it's the same thing with like when you pick up a new deck in standard or in modern or something like that.
You just got to learn it, right?
You just got to learn it. And once you learn it, like you actually become more depth into it. You know, like I look at something like, was it Ryan when he was playing? It was like Phyrexia All Will Be One. And he had that really nice blue-white deck, and he honed that thing. Like he was really, it didn't work out. Maybe the first couple times, and we were kind of laughing at him, and then eventually he figured out like these cards are the most important cards in the archetype, and he was able to find different flavors of that deck too.
Yes, and it was like me with poison.
I was gonna say the poison. Yeah, I mean, how many weeks did that take before it really?
Like 6 weeks, of hardcore forcing, over and over and over again.
But then you got the secret sauce, and were able to like you were doing it. You were like killing it online, and you were killing it in real life too. You know?
Yeah, like just hard forcing the worst archetype. Yeah.
I don't know.
Like by far, like 5 points below the second.
When you're forcing like this, is it easier to force like the best deck because everybody's in it? There's a lot of competition, or do you try to go for like a second tier deck that has the potential of winning? I kind of like that idea. Yeah, so you know it's a little bit more open, because then if people, you know, we talk a lot every time, like before the draft even starts, we're like, how good is this card? Or, oh man, blue like sucks right now. And you're like, and you got to be in your head just like, well, everybody thinks blue sucks.
Yeah, genuinely. Yeah.
And you just kind of, not to say you're trying to game that, but I mean, just take note of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're like, well, you know, there's an archetype out there that has like a 58% win percentage rather than the 60% win percentage. Maybe I could go for that. And it has blue in it, and people think blue sucks. So
that's funny. Yeah. So here's my last question on this topic.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So at what point in a draft, this is super theoretical.
Oh gosh.
We're getting real granular.
Okay.
Content warning, real granular Magic discussion. Super granular. But at what point in a draft does like you picking a card become forcing? This is very complicated.
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
Like it's hard to put a line on it.
Like I at that point, it's more committing to me than forcing.
Yeah,
like,
but what's the difference?
Ooh.
Is there really one?
Oh, I think there is one for sure.
Like committing, like me forcing, I could just commit before the draft starts.
Yeah.
Kind of like
of course, yeah.
Committing and forcing are almost like
they're pretty close.
They're almost the same thing.
Yeah, they're pretty close. I will say they're pretty close. I think sometimes when I get to like a 6-pick something and I realize something's completely open, I'm just like, this is it. I'm moving in. There's nothing you can do.
But isn't that almost forcing?
To a certain extent, yeah, but I think it's also like, well, committing forcing is kind of like
it's so
they're like they're pretty
basically
close.
The same thing.
Yeah, when I think forcing, I feel like you're just like, there's nothing that's going to sway me from this. I'm doing this, and you do it earlier than like a 6th, probably earlier than a 4th pick. I think it's got to be your 1st or 2nd pick when you're just like, that's it. There's nothing else. I don't want to see anything else in these packs. I'm there, and you just put the blinders on and just go.
So can you like force just a single color? Kind of like that's definitely something that
that's a strat
always do.
That's a strat that even the pros do.
Yeah,
they wait to commit till like pack 2.
Yeah,
and they just try to read, because you try to, basically the idea is that you're going to cut one specific color going one way so you get it the next time, right?
Yeah,
and then you figure out what's you're going to cut this other one.
Yeah,
and so you just try to pick up everything.
And figure out like the next color. Exactly. That's definitely something I do.
Yeah,
and like I don't know that that's considered forcing.
I don't think so. I think that's just good.
But it definitely can be. Like, you can definitely just have, like, a color preference. Like, I like green in this format quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll just take green cards, and then I'll almost just force green.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not necessarily forcing a specific archetype. Or, like, black a lot, too. I find myself with, like, a handful of black cards.
I think sometimes the black-green, and it does lend itself to this, where it's not as focused of a archetype sometimes.
Yes.
And so it leads a lot to bleeding into other kind of things. You're like, I don't have to be the like hard commit adventure deck in this one. I could be like a semi bargain, a little bit of food, a little bit of this.
Definitely.
And so I think if you're forcing and you're not wanting to force to the archetype, and you're just forcing to the colors of just like good cards, I think green, black is definitely the way to go there. Cause it's just, they have just strong cards. Just flat out. Like it's just, yeah, this Candy Grapple's just going to be good.
Yeah, Candy Grapple's the bomb.
The Giant's going to be just good.
Hamlet Glutton, sick.
Yeah, it's just going to be good, and then it doesn't have to necessarily be like a devoted bargain deck. Even that guy's reasonable on 7.
Yeah, he is like, it's a fine curve topper, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's all we got for forcing.
Yeah.
Got pretty,
oh man.
pretty intense.
So we had we actually had the store championships last weekend.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, none of the Packmates were there. So yeah, we didn't make it. Not like we didn't win it or because we weren't in it. Yeah. But we had actually one of our listeners.
Trophy talk.
Yeah, this is some trophy talk.
Woo.
Store winner champion talk. Yeah, so we actually had a Packmate listener actually win the tournament.
Our buddy Bill.
Yeah, our buddy Bill. Buddy Bill.
Buddy Bill.
Buddy Bill. And he took it down with like one of the thickest blue green decks like ever seen.
Probably like unarguably the worst possible archetype in this format, I think.
But I think he may have gotten like the highest quality cards in this deck.
He got a lot. There's definitely like some.
There was a sussy one that I pointed out, but like he said he drew a bunch of cards off of it, so I was like, all right, cool.
As a connoisseur.
Yes.
Up the beanstalk.
Yes.
As a up the beanstalk aficionado.
Of course, yeah.
I would have liked to see a little bit more 5-drops.
What do we got there? We got 4? Four things?
He's got 5.
Oh, he's got 5? Okay.
No, 4. No, 5. Because he's got the attendance, which has an adventure on the other half.
Okay.
7.
Yes, okay.
So, like, yeah, I'm kind of, like, that's a little sus for up the beanstalk, though. But, yeah, it's definitely sweet, though.
The twinning twins just seems sick in this deck, and I like the one plain splash for that, just the extra value.
Twinning twins,
yeah.
He was able to do it because he has the Brave the Wilds or whatever that's called in Utopia Sprawl.
And Utopia Sprawl too. So
he had like all the 1-mana fixing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks pretty sick. Yeah.
A little light on the removal side, but
he's got the Giants.
He's got the Giants to just go over the top, though.
The 2 Giants as removal too, like just to bounce 3 drops.
Yeah, I remember seeing, he showed us a picture of this earlier. Spoiler alert, he showed us a picture of this before he started. He's like, this looks pretty good. And we were like, yeah, this is maybe one of the sickest decks we've seen in that archetype.
Yeah, but not a lot of green-blue. Like, nobody really plays it.
No.
For sure. Like,
and I will say, like, even like the night before the tournament, he actually played blue-green in our FNM. And so this is, again, one of those kind of things where you're honing a deck.
Yeah.
And so I think he really figured out that maybe during that FNM, I don't know what his record was, like 2-1 maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and so I think he just kind of figured out like what the sauce was. It was like, what's the mix that I need? And so that's an example of what we're talking about, just like knowing a deck. And then it's
honing it,
yeah,
and learning all the ins and outs,
under drafted cards, and then so you go with this blue is bad.
Yeah, because like
so
a lot of these cards are very free.
Yeah,
like nobody plays Gadwick's First Duel.
Exactly.
Even though I think it's got horrible stats. I've had like 7 win deck. I have a 7-0 deck with Gadwick's First Duel in it. But like you kind of just have to learn what it's good for.
I think when you're light on removal too, it makes it just so much. It makes your other removal so much better. That one turn,
genuinely, yeah. That one turn where you can like double bounce something with the Giant or like put 2 curse tokens on something and get 2 triggers off your what's it called, the 3-mana guy that lets you draw a card when you cast an aura.
When
an aura enters the battlefield under your control. I definitely see like lots of very, very adorable.
I kind of flamed that card a little bit. Then everybody's like, "Nah, it's good." It's like it's still a 2/3, so it's fine.
Okay, so imagine that with Gadwick's First Duel, and you cast like literally any card in this deck, like so Curse of the Werefox.
That's so good.
You get to draw 2 cards
and kill 2 creatures.
Kill 2 creatures. Make 2 monster roll tokens.
Yeah.
Like all that value is insane.
It's pretty good.
Like that, or even like Brave the Wilds. Like, how does bargain work with?
I think it just copies whatever you. I don't think you have to bargain again. I think it locks it in the cost.
That's very cute too.
Yeah,
that's very, very cute.
Yeah, I think that's really strong.
Like even doing that to make like 2 of your lands 3/3s.
I like that. I like that lone ginger brute just sitting there in the one drop slot just because it's good. Like
just good. Like you still play it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But you're chipping in. Like if you get that on one, how much damage is that guy going to do over the course of a game?
9 damage.
Yeah.
Like because it's like one of those things where like unless your opponent has a rat out.
Yeah.
Like. There's not a removal spell worth wasting on a ginger brute.
No.
So it kind of just gets in literally forever.
I'd let those ginger brutes just sit there. I'm just like, okay, 1 damage, whatever. 1 damage, whatever. And then like when I start getting into single digits, I'm like, oh gosh, I got to kill this ginger brute.
Yeah.
I let that go on way too long.
Same with like, there's so many 1-drops like that in this format. The 1-mana 1/1 fairy is like that too. The black one.
Honorable mention to the second place winner as well. Jake, he had this really sick Boros deck. Actually, it was was it 3 hopeful vigils?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was nuts. I wasn't sure. Like when I saw this, I said, "Holy cow!" I don't know. And it had Agatha's Cauldron. Some of the other standouts were let's see, Witch Stalker Emery. So he had the deal 5 damage, and then the Emery's Tempting Apple as well, and just a ton of removal. 2 monstrous rages. Like it was a pretty sick deck. 3 armory mice.
Oh man,
insane kind of deck, you know. And so when I saw that, I said, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how Bill's deck was able to contend with it." But you know, as we were kind of talking about Bill's deck, you know, you just get a Hamlet Glutton out on 5, and you get to stabilize.
Definitely have an obscene amount of 2-drops.
Yeah.
He also had this is a kind of a staple of this format: the Princess Takes Flight, Stockpiling Celebrant.
Yeah.
Combo, which is like actually a real thing that people should take a little bit more seriously. Yeah. My round 1 opponent last night had it in their sideboard, and I was like, "All right, buddy, I'm gonna do you a solid.
There you go.
Bring him in. Bring him in.
Yeah,
you just don't know yet.
It's strong. It feels really good the first time you do it. Then it's just like, whoa.
Yeah, I'd take this one over that. So one thing that I wish people would. This is kind of a life hack for our red-white turbo aggro players out there. You can put Break the Spell in your deck. It's okay. It's okay. It doesn't seem okay. Like a 1-mana do nothing cantrip.
Yeah.
If it blows up one of your things. But like if you have 3 hopeful vigils, like it gets a lot better. And like it can also like save you in a game where like you're screwed because they used an enchantment or they have like a very strong enchantment that's just gonna drown you in card advantage, like up the beanstalk. And like the downside of playing it is so low. Like either like the floor is you hit something they have, or the ceiling is like you're blowing up your Princess Takes Flight and drawing a card. Yeah.
I could see the lines in this where I saw a lot of token generation in Jake's deck, and I just feel like Bill's deck actually aligned a little bit better with that because of his removal is more bounce based. Yes, definitely. And so that really punishes 3 hopeful vigils, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that red white deck does look sick.
It was pretty sick.
There's like the pie well there, which is kind of like, do we need a pie well there? Yeah. Like I'd rather have like the 1-mana that gives something first strike, which is like my floor of like the worst card I'll put in my red white decks is the fervent whatever, the scry and gives something first strike. But that's a cute deck.
Yeah, congratulations to Jake. Congratulations to Bill for
taking down the store championship. Yep, not here to defend our name.
Yeah,
I had I went to a film festival.
So you're in a kind of filmy mood this week. How about we do a superfecta filming?
Yeah, let's make something since Ryan's not here. Like the least class out of all of us. Let's make something a little artsy.
We're gonna do a little highbrow here, a little high class art.
How about
in honor of the
favorite
film?
French films.
Favorite French films. Let's go.
Which me and Andrew just have like we don't have enough time to do this with Ryan because he just have to sit and think about the only 3 French movies he's ever seen in his entire life for sure. But like me on deck, like I just have 4 favorite French films on deck.
Well, you start us off.
So I'm gonna start. Let me just start with a content warning. Like if you're sensitive to like ridiculous nonsense movies, like pretty much all the bad stuff ever is in every French film ever. They're usually pretty dark. There's like 100% going to be nudity in every French film ever made.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
like these aren't family-friendly
No,
films
they're definitely
at
not.
all.
Yeah.
Like, none of them. So, like, don't watch these with your grandparents.
Yeah.
So my first one's going to be The Piano Teacher.
The Piano Teacher?
Yeah, it's a movie about a piano teacher. It's ridiculously intense for being a movie about a piano teacher. It's probably like in my top 10 favorite films of all time.
Oh, nice.
Super ridiculous. Yeah, it's really boring, but extremely intense at the same time.
Nice.
It's like 2.5 hours long. Like, it's French, right? It's beautiful. It's like leaves you with a feeling of emptiness when it ends. Like, it's a real day ruiner for sure. like definitely really, really powerful.
All right. Well, for my first pick, I will go with Amelie, just because I feel like that's going to be something that's going to catch everybody. Like,
I've never actually seen that.
I saw it like a long time ago.
What is it even about?
Oh gosh, I saw it so long ago.
Explain the plot.
I don't know the plot. I just remember
Andrew out here recommending movies he don't even know the plot.
I saw
to.
it so long ago. I remember it being really good. It was about like imagination, if I remember correctly, and it was really cool. I remember it's a very striking. Like, if you ever see French films, you always see like the girl with the bob haircut, and everyone's gonna be like, Amelie. Yeah, of course. It was really popular. Like, and it was in 2005, I think was when it came out, somewhere on there. And so
I've seen it everywhere.
Yeah.
I've seen the poster at least. Like
yeah.
a billion
And so
times.
it's super, that's my like catch-all. And so now I'm gonna go to like my deep cut.
All of mine are pretty not catch-alls.
Okay. I'm trying to win the super effect, is what I'm trying to say.
And no voting unless you watch every single one.
We're gonna have 0 votes. Maybe vote for the album cover, or the movie cover that you like the best too. All right, so then I'm gonna go with Jean de Florette. It has Gerard Depardieu.
What year did this come out?
That came out, I believe, in the 80s.
Huh.
Yeah, and it's about a farm. And so this kind of wanderer goes to the farm, and what they grow on the farm there is flowers.
Huh.
And so they're big flower
Very
growers.
French thing to do.
It's a very French thing to do. And I'm just like, how the heck do you make money doing flowers? But they have the best flowers in the valley because they have the only water source in the valley. And so so people on the other lands are trying to actually like siphon off where their water is coming from. And so there's this thing where the landowner is like in love with, they have his wife there, and then the wanderer kind of comes in and kind of there's and it's all French film. There's a graphic sex scene in the middle of it.
All French.
Yeah,
there's graphic sex scenes in every single French movie. Yeah.
And so it's a pretty cool movie. It goes on for a little while, but man, is it really intense? Just like the love story between the two, and then you have the juxtaposition of like her and the husband like breaking, and then the husband dies, and then it's just like, okay, well, now I'm taking over this family. And so it's a really cool movie. It's a good
I'll have to check that out. I'll definitely watch that.
Yeah.
French movies definitely have like the most intense relationships.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
like it's something about like speaking French makes your relationship with anyone 50 times more intense.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You're very passionate people for
very
sure.
much so. All right. What do you got for us,
So next
Robi?
up, this is one of my favorite movies. I really love this. Martyrs. It's an extremely violent movie about like, it's hard to explain without spoiling it. It's basically like this is a very disturbing horror movie for sure. Like, it's about like torture and stuff, but it's got like probably one of the most hardcore day ruining endings I've ever seen in a movie that like genuinely like ruined my entire day. It's it's really intense. But yeah, it's one of my favorites. It's got a beautiful love scene too.
Oh man,
it's got a graphic sex scene for no reason.
Of course,
yeah. So that's one of my favorite. If you want to watch that, watch the 2008 version. There's a 2015 reboot.
Oh,
an English reboot, which is absolute dog water garbage.
Is it still called Martyrs?
Yeah, it's still called Martyrs.
Okay.
But the 2008, I think. 2005 or 2008.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the good one.
All right.
And next up,
what's your next
this
pick?
is a pretty new one. I saw this in theaters.
Oh.
Which is hilarious that this was in it was by far the most ridiculous extreme movie I've literally ever seen in theaters.
Dang.
Like, I was shocked that this was playing in the theater. Teton.
Yeah, I've heard.
Teton, yeah, it won the Palme d'Or.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie is literally one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Jeez.
Like, it starts out with just like the most ridiculous murder scene where this girl just murders a bunch of people. And then there's a very graphic sex scene with her and a car.
Oh, geez.
With her and a car. That's like her thing. She's like into cars.
Oh, dang.
So there's a graphic sex scene with her in a car. She ends up getting impregnated by the car. like this is the most French thing you could ever watch. She gets impregnated by this car. And then she pretends to be this guy's son. And it turns into this beautiful father-son story. Like, actually wholesome.
Oh, man.
Like, wholesome, but so ridiculous at the same time. While she's like starting to like deal with the pregnancy, being impregnated by a car, like she's starting to leak oil, and it's ridiculous. It's very good though, very good, very extreme, very French. Yeah, it's a beautiful father-son, wholesome family story. Love it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm up next, right?
Yeah.
All right, L'Enfant du Paradis. It's just it's the infants of paradise. I think it's what it's called in English. And it was made in the 40s. And so it's black and white. And it's an amazing love story, actually. And this one doesn't have any graphic sex scenes in it because it's a little bit older movie.
This is the one family-friendly pick.
It's very long, though. It's about 4 hours long. And it literally has I think it has two intermission breaks in it.
That's a thing with old French movies.
Yeah,
all French movies are too long.
Yeah, they have a little. And so this one's it's a really just great love story about this really famous actress, or she's an actress in the movie world, and she falls in love with 3 different men who are all vying for her attention. So there's one guy who's just kind of like the normal guy who's just kind of, I'm a businessman, and so your average guy. You have this kind of lowly peasant actor who's just like, we connect so well because she's an actress, I'm an actor. And so he's actually a mime. And I remember that, yeah. And so it's really heartbreaking when you see like a mime because his facial expression is just like heartbreaking. And then there's a really extravagant like rich man who's like, I'll give you whatever you want, Garance. Her name's Garance. And so it's just great because the cinematography is awesome because she's always lit. Like her eyes are always lit with this really nice like glow to them.
French films definitely have like a very strong aesthetic, like the way they light things and everything like that. Yeah.
And it was kind of cool to see like a 1940s movie that has this like attention to detail, the lighting, where it's like, no, her eyes should always have this subtle glow of like light coming from them. Because it's kind of the character that she has, like, is a big actress, and so she has this. Anyways, it's really cool. It's heartbreaking because it's like her falling in love with all 3 guys and them just like vying for her attention.
Some crazy love triangle.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is basically every French film ever.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's a really good story, and it's just, man, it breaks your heart when like there's a scene there where the mime kind of gets a little bit higher up in status. And so he sees her again in another place. And so they're in this like kind of hobnobby kind of place. And somebody like introduces her to him. And so that's kind of one of those weird things where like, oh, hi, I haven't met you before. Kind of situations where like, no, we had this wild love affair and you don't remember me and you're just greeting me with a hello.
That sounds fine.
And it's like in languages they have like a formal and informal. And you see that like in Spanish and things like that. So he greets her in this kind of setting where somebody's introducing her to him. He's like, and he greets her in the formal, not the informal. And so it devastates her because she's like, wow, we had this, like, their love meant nothing. Anyway, it's cool.
Dude, that sounds fire. I'm going to have to watch it.
It's good stuff.
Whenever I just have 4 hours later.
Yeah, whenever you have 4 hours later on, like watch Infants of Paradise. And then my last one is going to be a biopic of Edith Piaf, La Vie en Rose. Very famous actress, or very famous singer, actually. And that song's just like very haunting. The da, 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 La Vie en Rose. And so it's cool. It's just like, and it's about her grappling with her, like, insecurities. And in this one, the actors don't even sing this stuff. They're actually just like lip syncing their stuff because it's like the very.
Sometimes that's better, right?
Oh yeah, I think so. And it's like, especially with like Edith Piaf, she's a very kind of like prolific artist there. And so you get to see her and like her story about just kind of going through the business. And it's kind of a cool, like, it's always a little bit grittier. Sometimes these French films.
French movies are never happy.
No.
Like they never really have like a happy ending.
Exactly. So it's not just like, oh, I just sang my songs and everything was good. It's like, no, I'm like crippling stage fright. You know?
like usually like drug addiction and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of cool. So I'd say that. And it's a good song too.
I'll definitely have to watch all these. But yeah, my last one. And this is a shout out. This is kind of like the entry point, I think, for one of my favorite genres of film of all time. French lesbian films. Love them. Genuinely. Like, actually can't get enough of them. I love all of them. But this is kind of like the most famous one. Like, you can find this on Netflix.
Oh, cool.
But blue is the warmest color.
I've heard so many things about this.
Yeah, it's a beautiful love story. Graphic sex scenes for sure. It's French, right? It's just like a beautiful look at like a relationship, which is kind of just like, it's just touching. And like, one of the things that I love about French movies is that, like I said earlier, they don't always just have happy endings. But like sometimes it's like kind of bittersweet, and that's definitely how this one ends up. But yeah, it's a great movie. Huge fan of it. But shout out to all the French lesbians. The best of the best. It's just more lesbian relationships are more poetic in French for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely huge fan. Blue is the warmest color for sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we got a superfecta there.
We'll have to get Ryan's next week.
Yeah, we'll have to get Ryan's best French film.
And spoil it for you. Ryan's never seen a French film.
Maybe there's like a good TV show or something that
I would be surprised.
There was like those Lupin movies, or those Lupin. I don't know if there were movies, but it was on Netflix. Those were pretty cool. It was like a cool French kind of thing there. Anyways, or Lupin the Third, I think is what it was.
So one last thing, I'll go ahead and spoil the over/under.
Oh, good. Okay. So, wait. Let me set this up. So last week we had our superfecta was wrestling, and so Ryan and I were kind of not betting, but I mean, like we were kind of like, what's the over/under on how many hours Robi has spent watching wrestling? Ryan said it's under 3. I said over.
I really have to think because like. It's probably like very, very, very close to 3.
Really?
Probably. Because like I always wanted to watch wrestling as a kid.
Uh-huh.
But I was not allowed to. Like I grew up in a very conservative Christian.
Man.
Well, like, and they were just afraid that me and my brother were gonna like learn these moves and kill each other.
Oh, that's legit.
We were going to do.
Yeah.
And like from the 3 hours of wrestling that I have seen,
I
tried every one of those moves on my brother. For sure. Like, so like my experience actually watching it was like sneaking up like super late.
Yeah.
Like after my parents have gone to bed and trying to catch like the end of it.
Oh man.
So I probably have only actually seen like maybe 3 hours altogether. Like it's probably like right at like 2:59.
Man, yeah. I thought it was going to be way over on that.
I've just never been a wrestling guy. I've wanted to like it as a kid because that's what all my friends like.
Yeah, it's like that's what I thought too. I was like, oh, well, yeah, I hadn't seen it as a kid because I remember like when I was growing up, like we'd have parties and just be like, have a like.
It's like one of those weird things where I probably know more than most people have seen as little as me because I've only gotten like secondhand experiences of wrestling material, like my friends explaining to me wrestling stuff. So yeah, cool. But that's all I think we got this week.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Bye. Watch some French movies. Bye.